this is the first Plant-Based Circle of the year. I want to thank you guys all for coming. A quick announcement that I have is we still have several spots available to speak at the Plant-Based Circle. So if any of you would be interested in speaking in this forum, please come find me after the talk today.
Or you'll draft them.
Yeah, or I'll draft you. You get involuntarily chosen. So with that, I think we're going to go. I think Dr. Hayes is going to introduce the speaker today.
Okay, I'm going to introduce Ravindra Prasad. He's currently a professor at Banaras Hindu University in Varanasi, India. Supposedly the oldest living city in the world, right? And the holy city of Hinduism. So he'll explain about that. And he's currently assistant professor there. He also got his degree there. This is also where Bobby Singh got his degree. They have a department of plant breeding, and they breed a very broad range of crops. So it's a very good place for plant breeding. So I'll let him go ahead and present his seminar.
Thank you, sir, for introduction. During my PhD program, actually, I did work on spot blotch disease of barley entitled Molecular Diversity in Bipolar Sorokiniana and Genetic Association of some Morphophysiological traits with resistance to spot blotch disease in barley. In parallel, also I did work on the same issue in the wheat, so I'd like to share my experiments on this topic. So you can see this is the Varanasi, and BHU is located at the Varanasi. This is the major city, and this is major seat of learning and religious town in the country. So the population growth of my country is more than 1.25 billion, and right now this is 295 million ton total production. So we are producing a lot in the world. After the China, we are in the second rank. And I will focus. This city is also known as many names of this city, like city of Lord Shiva, city of temples, and capital of wisdom too. So I will focus about this from this region to this region. This is known as Indo-Gangetic Plain zone of India. So before start my lecture, I would like to salute to the fathers of Green Revolution for their great vision as well as outstanding performance. So this is from Pakistan to Bangladesh, Nepal. This is a very fertile land and irrigated land, and this is known as Indo-Gangetic Plain. So you can see in this land, this green is so irrigated, and this is good zone for wheat and rice cropping system. So as you know, in my country, at least 3 irrigations are needed for taking good crop of wheat, and for rice, for producing 1 kg of rice, you have to give the 1,000 to 1,300 liters of water. So for that crop, this is really very, very fertile land, and people of my country, they are not telling only Ganga river, they are telling Mother Ganga river, because like mother is feeding to their children, like Ganga is providing shoes, water, and fertile land for producing the food grains. So this is the Banaras. This is the Banaras University. Actually, this is not city or university of the Hindu, but this is the Muslim Christian religion. So this is established in 1916 and founded by Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya. He is the founder of this university. So they are the Institute of Medical Sciences, Institute of Agricultural Sciences, Institute of Environment and Sustainable Development, Indian Institute of Technology, Science and Management Studies, as well as 14 faculties, 4 colleges, 3 schools, 140 departments, and there is one newly established campus. It is established in 2007. That is RGSC, means Rajiv Gandhi South Campus. So there are 25 undergraduate as well as postgraduate courses are running in this campus. So for the scientists, there are enough guest house for professors, enough residence and hostel for the student, as well as there is one big temple in the campus too. So I'm not going to talk about the university, but I will talk about my institute. This is Institute of Agricultural Sciences. Around 12 departments are running that institute, and I am working in the Department of Genetics and Plant. So it is established. Actually, study and research work have been started in this institute in 1931, but formally it was established in 1980. So product of this institute not contributing my country but across the globe. This is the glimpses of the Varanasi, and here is the Lord Shiva. You can see this is the month. It is known as Om Namah Shiva in Hindi. So people of that city, they are very curious about that month. Always they used to chant the Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva, Om Namah Shiva. And last they will say Har Har Mahadev. This is a very old city in the center of the city, and people of that city, they believe that if you take the dip in the Ganga river, then you'll be very satisfied, even you'll be free from the sin too. And after dying, your soul will be get the peace. So they are used to always take the dip in this river. So there are around 19 ghats near the bank of Ganga river, and every day people they decorate that ghat during evening and morning time, and they use some music like they are doing, and they are starting like this, some worship. This is famous in the world. This temple is in the main campus. This is another picture of the ghat. So this is my outline. I will talk about introduction, molecular characterization of pathogen, variation for resistance to spot disease, association of traits with resistance to spot blotch, genetics of resistance for spot blotch, allelic relationship of genes conferring resistance to spot blotch, then some research achievements and present research activities. So barley is the fourth most important cereal in the world after wheat, rice and maize. And this is really very good model species for research work, research purpose, because it is diploid with 14 chromosome numbers. While wheat is most paramount crop for the world, but it is very complicated as compared to the genome of barley. It has 3 different sets like A, D, G with 42 chromosome numbers, and both crops are adversely affected by this particular disease in mainly northeastern zone of my country. So it is considered as number 1 serious disease for northeastern zone. It losses in barley estimated around up to the 50% as reported by different scientists, and it could be up to the 100% as I have reported in my university. So in wheat it is also 20 to 80% reported by Windubler, he is pathologist in the cement, and even it could be reached up to the 100%. So this is the disease. This disease first time identified in 1910 by Mohi, and at that time scientists they have named jointly Helminthosporium setaeum. This is causal agent, and after some time they found that perfect or sexual stage in the nature. So based on that properties they have also named Cochleoblast typus. And in 1959 Shoemaker gave the generic name like bipolaris shorokinan. So there is some logic behind this. This is the spore or conidia of that pathogen, isolate from the infected leaves as well as seed. So you can see if you put this pathogen on the suitable host, susceptible host, and provide the humidity as well as favorable temperature, then spore will germinate from both sides, not for one side. So based on this property, this is known as bipolaris shorokinan. This is the genotype symptom of that disease. This is the variety, release variety, RD2503, and you can see at the time of anthesis how it is covered the whole plant. And this is the germ plasma. I will talk about the germ plasma later on. Sorry. So how you can control the disease? Application of fungicides can control the disease, but it is increase the cost of cultivation and also pollute the environment. And second approach is use of resistant genotypes could be very long lasting and eco-friendly approach. But there is some challenges. Resistance genotypes with a desired background are lacking in my country, And mechanism of resistance and mode of action of this pathogen are really very complicated. So first solution to identify good source of resistance, know the aggressiveness nature of the pathogen, and then develop resistance or near immune lines could be one of the best way for figuring out these challenges. So I do the first option, that variability in the isolate of the spot blood of the pathogen. So in this objective, infected leaves of barley were collected from farmers' field of around 15 villages in Varanasi, Mirzapur, Chandauli, Meerut, as well as New Delhi. At that time, actually, I have visited to New Delhi, so I saw some symptom on the barley, so I took some sample from there. So from that sample, more than 200 isolates were generated, and morphopathological traits like color, growth pattern, sporulation, aggressiveness were recorded. And finally, RFPD analysis was employed using 20 primers against only 64 isolates out of 225. So this is their morphopathological features. I have categorized only 4 like dull white, fluffy white, suppressed white, and black fluffy. Finally, I applied a set of 20 primers. Out of 20 primers, only one primer like OPA15 didn't amplify with any isolate of 4 groups, but 2 primers like OPD0 to OPD05 were gave amplification in all the isolate of 4 groups. So this is the amplification pattern of OPD05 primer with all the isolates. Based on the scoring of that amplified products, I have developed the dendrogram to see the clear-cut genetic similarities among the isolates. And further, I have compared the morphopathological features with that group. So I found that one isolate from first group was migrated in fourth group, and 2 isolate from second group were migrated in the fourth group. And this is the summary. Total 7 major and 60 minor clusters were observed. The dendrogram corresponds to the range of similarity 0 to 86%. Morphopathological classification proved true in molecular analysis except for few duration. So further, under control condition, I have planted 2 genotypes. First one is resistant, that is EMBSN, and second one is RD2503. This is the highly susceptible. And applied the on different set, I applied the different group of isolate. And this VRT recorded, and finally I have calculated the ADC. And I found that on resistant genotype and on susceptible genotype, in black group it was 340, and on susceptible it was around 1,800. It was really very high as compared to the another groups. It shows that black population has ability to produce much more disease severity on the genotypes. So the same study we did earlier in the wheat, and in wheat we have categorized all the isolate in 5 groups, like black suppressed, black dull black suppressed, grey with white spot, dull white, white fluffy. And this work we have published in Current Microbiology, and barley work we have published in Indian Journal of Genetics and Plant Breeding. So further, this is a small experiment done by my students. In this one, we wanted to see some antifungal properties of some plant extract. And he has collected some Ayurvedic medicine plant and extract the extract of the plant. And in petri plate, he put the pathogen isolate from barley, wheat, as well as tertium leaf blight of the maize. And we found that some plant extracts show the significant inhibition of the pathogen. In this one, we got the 57.14, in this one 34.14, and in this one little less. So it shows that there is wonderful scope to develop the eco-friendly approach by using some natural compounds against this disease. So further, after joining this university, I was frequently visiting the Dr. Hayes and his student for phenotyping the wheat genotype, and I saw the symptom of spot blotch on barley but not in the wheat. So I have collected the leaf samples as well as some plant residues like leaf sheath and spikes. So from that link, I have isolated the pathogen. You can see the unpactable, just I put the seed to see the germination, but before the germination of seed, I saw the huge load of the pathogen. Further, this pathogen I purified in the black, white and grey type, not in 4th and 5 groups. So again I was curious to see the aggressiveness or pathogenicity behavior of different isolates. And in fatty plate, just I put the small pieces of barley leaves, and I put the black, purified black, then grey, then white. So after 2 days, I saw there is destruction of chlorophyll by the black isolate, but not by the grey as well as white. And after 5 days, I saw it, the leaves were totally dry, and the spot size was very large. So here also it shows that black population is aggressive, not dry. So in second objective, variability for resistance in the diverse germplasm. So this is really very important for the breeders. If there is no variation, then there is no chance of selection for crop improvement or any data of interest. For that, 1,662 diverse lines were evaluated for 3 years. Artificially body condition was created. This variety was recorded, and for that a suspension of 10 to the power 4 spores or conidia per milliliter was spread during evening hours at 3 different growth stages like tillering, clay leaf, and synthesis. So followed this variety was recorded at 3 growth stages, followed Jodak scale and growth stage 65, 69, 77. And based on this variety of last growth stage, all the lines I have categorized in 4 groups like resistant, moderately resistant, moderately susceptible, and susceptible. And based on this variety of 3 data, I have also estimated AUDP means area under disease progress. So this is the formula used to estimate the AUDP under disease. So
When you go on the board.
sorry,
Spin
back.
back.
Yeah. This one. This one.
He wants you to explain it, yeah.
Yeah, show them how.
Yeah, this is a little complicated, but by using this variety of 3 dates, you will just calculate the average. See the this variety on x-axis date, then y-axis this variety. Then you can make the graph. That is AUD means area under disease progress curve. That's very simple. So this is best approach as compared to the taking this data by using scale 0 to 9 scale or taking the only last data. So because all the genotypes, they have different kind of resistance level. So if you add all the disparity, then it will be better for the identification of the gentleman. So this is summary of the germplasm. Out of 1,662 lines, I got only 5%, around 5% resistance lines among them. So to start the AUDPC, I have also recorded the data of 1,000 grain weight as well as days to maturity. And I found that significant differences at 1% for treatment year, genotype, and year into genotype. So this is summary. Out of that population, only 84 lines appeared resistant. Around 25 resistant lines were identified to have higher test weight and shorter maturity duration. So out of 25 only, I am giving the data of the 10 lines. You can see they are having AUDPC around 200 to 300 as compared to the check. This is the variety, and it has 1,835 AUDPC and low test weight. So most of the lines were belong to Symmetricada, and they were having shorter maturity duration. So third objective is to know the genetics, means number of genes as well as extent of genes for resistance to the spot blotting. So for that I took the 4 classes, separate classes. So simply I follow the simple procedure to development of recombinant breed lines. resistant to necessary parents crashed and F1 was raised. Then F1 cell to get the F2, and from F2 population 100 to 250 random single plants were taken, and generation advanced to get the F3 and F4 by growing the progeny rows. For that, I used the oxygen. So in first year, annuities crosses were made. F1 raised at oxygen nursery. It is in different state like Tamil Nadu. In my state only we can take one crop in a year, but for saving the time, I have accessed the oxygen nursery in Tamil Nadu. So after harvesting the crop in BS2, just immediately I was planting the Tamil Nadu. So second year F1 and F2 raised at BS2, the single plant selected randomly. Half of the seeds of the each plant taken to the oxygen nursery to the Wellington, Tamil Nadu. F3 raised at oxygen nursery. Again, one random plant from each progeny row was harvested. And in third year, F3 as well as F4 progeny raised at Banaras Hindu University in replicated trial, and artificial lymphatic in reels and evaluation of resistance was done as described in the first experiment. For estimation of number of genes, I used two approaches. First is chi-square and second one is quantitative approach. For chi-square analysis, F3 and F4 lines were categorized in three classes like homozygous resistant type, homozygous susceptible type, and intermediate type. And I used that formula. N is equal to whole square CR upon R is constant value for different generation. This is, you can say, environmental factor, then multiplied by the variance. And this is F3, it is more, but it will be reduced by passing the generation because of fixation life, environmental influence will be less. So this is the two resistant parents, and this is two susceptible parents and their DSVRT. The DSVRT in the resistant parents are around 20 to 25, but if you see the susceptible, then it was around 80 to 90%. And the second two resistant as well, two susceptible parents, they are showing same behavior. And if you see the F1, then for all the crosses, I start 2 years, they are behaving like intermediate type. So it shows the additive type of gene.
Excuse me, you have the severity, but you have also the area under the curve.
Yes.
So this first one is based on the last measurement?
This one, yes.
Okay.
Yes, this one.
Okay. But it's also included in the average of the area under the disease progress
No,
curve?
this is based on this rate of last growth stage. So some genotypes in first growth stage, they were 0. Second growth is a 5 to 10. Okay, but there is a formula that, if you want to really identify the good genotype, then you have to wait up to the 77 in the barley as well as up to the 88 days in the wheat.
But this was close to grain filling, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That is the target that, up to the
Okay,
77,
sure.
there is chance of accumulation of
Okay.
all the potassium into the grain, and after that,
Yeah.
you are measuring the decivation, there is no use of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So for that, classified the F3 and F4 generation of all the crosses and applied the chi-square test. So it was fit for 3 genes in first one, second one, third one, but for 4 crosses it was around 4 genes. In second approach, I used the quantity approach followed by right. And in this approach, there is again 2 methods. In first condition, you can estimate number of genes without heritability, and second one with heritability. So with heritability means just you are going to refine the number of genes by result. So by multiplying the heritability in the range of that lines, we are going to remove the influence of the environment. So there is refining the result. So same condition I got in this classes, but in this classes it was, in third class, but in fourth class it was like this, little higher. So finally, we have concluded that there are possibly 3 to 4 major genes with some minor effects by that. Yeah, you can see the fixed line or segregating lines. There is no disparity at all. This is the recombinant lines. You can see how they are fixing and segregating. This is the dwarf lines, highly resistant. Sister lines, and again you can see these are the also reels, but they are late maturing but highly resistant. And this now there is no disease, but later on it will be highly resistant. This is second paradigm. So in fourth experiment, I wanted to see that some association of some phenotypic traits with resistance to spot velocity disease. So for that again I chose the 4 classes. So in first trait, vaccine resistant, non-vaccine susceptible. So for that all the lines, germplasm lines I have evaluated and frequency distribution was analyzed. So you can see just simply I have categorized all the germplasm lines in vaccine, non-vaccine, and see the mean DCRT of vaccine type. It was low, but it was higher in the non-vaccine type. Simply a deficit. So for confirmation of this relation, I used resistant to non-resistant into susceptible classes along with their traits. So progeny row in the F3 and F4 evaluate for vaccine trait as well as DCRT. Then T test performed to compare DCRT in the homologous vaccine and non-vaccine progeny row in the F3 and F4 generation. So I got that this is the mean DCRT of the vaccine type low as compared to the non-vaccine type. It was significant at 5%. Same I did for different traits like anthocyanin resistant, non-anthocyanin susceptible. Similar, I saw the frequency distribution and the germplasm. It was not much differ, and in the classes F3 and 4 generation there was no significant difference. See the mean DCRT, they were similar in both the groups. For the third trait, I took the erect type. See, this is the erect type based on their angle, and this is droop type. They were highly resistant, but they were not. So, germplasm, I have categorized in this one erect type, semi-erect type, semi-droop type, and droop type. And see that there is slight difference in pattern. So, again, for confirmation of this relation, I applied the t-test in F3 and F4 population, and I got significant difference at 5% level. For third trait, it was the plant height. Dwarf stall. There was not much more differences in the mean DCRT in the germplasm as well as adipsy, and same happened in the F3 as well as F4 generation. So finally, we have concluded that vaccination and leaf angle appears to be positively associated with the resistance to the spot bloods, while anthocyanin pigment and plant height were not associated with the resistance. That work we published in Polygraph research, and a set of 69 genotypes we have characterized by the simple sequence repeat marker for spot blotch as well as another test. That one we have published in the Journal of Genetics. So in parallel also I have phenotype very good recombinant inbred lines belonging to the CMAT with focusing the ALR34 and ALR34 major. Now there is report that ALR34 is not resistant for only the rest or spot blast, but this is resistance for multiple diseases in the crop plants.
These are minor genes actually, right?
This
LR34 and 46. These are not major genes.
but they are contributing like around 55%.
Yeah, minor genes.
There is some linkage.
Minor genes provide resistance to more than one race of the pathogen.
Yeah.
They provide resistance
So
to
there
leaf
is-
rust, stem rust.
There is association of
spot blotch.
ALR34 with different gene, different like LTN2. So this is minor gene, but there is some association of some genes.
Yeah.
It's very complicated.
Sure.
It's showing durability. So across the 6 environment, we got one gene consistent effect, and we are publishing that. So again, for development of neural lines for spot blotch, I have developed some population like by using the 8 resistant parents, the 28 cross combination by using dial pattern. Then phenotype F1, F2, F3, F4 and F5 generation under artificial lymphatic condition, and genotype by the linked SSR marker by my seniors. And some part of that work we have published in the Journal of agriculture science and technology, and main work is under the publication. So in fifth experiment, simple I took the 8 highly resistant parents with different genetic background, and crashes of iron to wire were made. 28 crash combinations were investigated in the F3 generation. And I found that out of 28, 10 crashes appeared allelic, while 18 were non-allelic. In non-allelic crashes, transgressive significance for resistance were obtained. So in conclusion, substantial genetic variability was noted among the isolates of bipolaris sorokinian of barley. Black isolate was the most aggressive and appeared best for getting artificial conditions. RFID markers were more precise in characterizing isolates, and vaccination narrowly finger were found to reduce the disparity and can be used for identification of resistance lines in large population as a morphological marker. So 3 to 4 genes were found to control the resistance for popular in the crashes studied. Many of the resistant parents were found displayed non-allelic genes for resistance to black. This suggested a good scope of enhancing the resistance through R2R crashes as indicated by transgressive significance. So with that, we have some achievements. We have developed highly yielding and resistant variety, and it is released in 2013. This is known as HGB113, and it is not only resistant for the spot blotch, but it was also resistant for rust and FS2. So during 3 years of testing, in 18 trials, it was 10 times super among the trials. So this is notified by the Government of India and published in Indian Journal of Genetics and Plant Breeding. He is main barley breeder, Professor Ravindra Prasad, Ravindra Prasad, and I am co. So with that also I got one project for 4 years for molecular study from the Science and Education Research Board from New Delhi. So he is the Vice Chancellor of Banaras Hindu University. After listening to the news of this one, he wanted to visit at farmers research farm, and he talked with the director, and he came to see and interact with the student. He is interacting with the student as well as professor. Actually, he has been 12 years in this country, and he is well known for as a father of DNA fingerprinting. And his man of zoology, but he was so interested to help and support to the agriculture scientists. So he has did that. So in meantime, my boss, under Fulbright fellowship, has visited in the university as a city. Even he has also visited the major cities of the country, like New Delhi, Lucknow. Then he saw the Taj of Agra too with family. So by coincidence, on the street 5 minutes talk, I think it's a bring to me here. And there's much more thing about it. With that, they are the wheat scientists, famous personality from the cement. They have visited to see the wheat trials, but because of this disease, they are visiting. They are looking the picture of the trials of barley. So here's Dr. A.P. Doshi. He is working since the last 6 to 7 years as a wheat improvement program coordinator for South Asia. And here's my mentor. He's looking the wheat as well as barley too. So you can see this is the trial of the barley. And without providing the artificial pressure of pathogen, you can see whole plants are going to be finished. So they are very curious to see about this field. So they are also from CIMET. Is Dr. Matthew, Dr. Hans, I think it's Dr. Dibler, pathologist from CIMET. And he is Dr. Ramesh Chandra, pathologist from my institute. So after joining this institute, I have joined the class of Dr. Dr. Rumi, Dr. Ibrahim, Dr. P.B. Singh, and again I'm joining the class of Dr. Han in Mary. Thank you so much for giving the consent to all of you, sir. Then also I attended the meeting, like BSc meeting at College Station, then Valdi and at Tamil. With that, I have to type the unique set of TR population, TR21, TR32 with population for leaf rust, stripe rust, planted at 6 different locations. Also evaluated the reels for leaf rust, planted at Vivaldi, and further evaluating the TR set of population in the greenhouse as well as growth chamber. Genotyping using linked functional molecular marker is under progress. And isolate purified and tested pathogenicity nature of the bipolaris. Isolate from the virus too. I have also presented the research work in the essay as well as PhD meeting, participated in the high throughput phenotyping workshop, and plant breeding tour organized by this department. So with that, I'd like to thank the Professor Hayes as well as his student for their kind support, interaction, as well as faculties, students, non-teaching staff on this university. And then Banaras University for providing the study leave, and University Grant Commission, New Delhi for awarding the round postdoc fellowship. Thank you to all.
So we have plenty of time for questions, if there are questions.
Hi. So, are the observed resistance genes race-specific or group-specific?
Yes, good questions. Actually, in the wheat, it is reported like 3 rust, leaf, stem, then stripe. Then for each rust, Dr. Ravi Singh has reported around 50 to 16 races. But in this disease, still there is no report. So just we are taking the name isolate. So we have categorized, 4 groups in the barley, 5 groups in the wheat, and further if you identify based on molecular study, then you can give the name like a race.
So, you did observe differences in the pathogenicity between those groups?
Yes. Exactly. So even just I told there is spore as well as mycelium. So both are having ability to produce the disease. Kill the green tissue. But if we compare both, then only spore has more ability to produce. In case of only black one, and you can see the spore in microscope in very less frequency, and also they cannot produce the disease. They can multiply, they can sporulate very fast, but they cannot produce the disease. This is property of that.
Okay. On these resistant genes, now over time, if you left them in the incubation chamber a longer period, they would eventually die, right?
No, sir, no.
Okay, so they are really immune then?
A pathogen?
Yes.
They are not immune, but they have life cycle. Like, if you store on the media, then there is a fixed life cycle. If you store in the, another minus active, then there will be, but by it will be lost. But if you put in the residue, plant residue in the soil, then they can survive very long time.
He's talking about resistance.
Yeah, I'm talking about the resistance.
He's talking about the resistance. If you keep exposing them to the pathogen, does it eventually become susceptible? Resistant lines, is it really true resistance?
Eventually.
Well, I mean over time. Is it just a
Yes.
how fast the disease builds up? Is it slowing down the disease cycle or is it stopping the disease cycle?
Actually, if we are targeting the group and working the resistant lines, then after sometimes there is chance to become the susceptible that lines. So it could be because of development of some virulence population in that population because of mutation or some.
No, but I just mean in one cycle. I don't mean over 10 years. I mean in 2 weeks. With septoria diseases, the resistance just slows down the disease. And I'm wondering if this is the same.
even if they're immune.
Pardon?
Ultimately, they will die even if they're resistant, if they have been
Yeah, they'll
subjected
die.
to
They'll show the disability,
those
they'll be die.
conditions.
They are not immune.
And your resistance was LR34 and 46, right? You had some resistance from 34 and 46, right?
Yeah.
That
is due to-
causes that's stomatal occlusion from the wax, and it drops off at late maturation. So then it would be resistant, and then it crashes at the end, kind of like leaf rust.
2 questions actually. The first question is, the inoculum that you have used,
Yes.
did you use a mixture of races?
No.
Okay, that's why you have 4 genes identified, because if you use single race inoculum, you will find 1 gene controlling the resistance,
That
right?
is the actually
Based on- I mean,
No, he said he did single isolate.
isolate.
Did you use single isolates?
Yes, black
And
isolate.
still you found that resistance was controlled
Yes,
by 3
yes,
to 4
yes,
genes? That's
yes.
very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, you had like 4 distinct classes, or
Usually-
several distinct classes?
Usually
not
if you,
necessarily.
according to the gene for gene concept, for every gene of resistance in the plant, the pathogen will try to come up with a gene of virulence to overcome that resistance. And so ultimately, major genes are defeated all the time. So you have to search for newer genes, okay? And so, if you use an isolate that is known to be suppressed by 1 major gene, you're supposed to find 1 gene of resistance.
But-
That's usually the case in
It's not
weak
gene-
pathogens.
There, yeah, I was inoculating the black isolate, but if I was isolating
That's a mixture of races. That's
yeah,
not
mixed,
pure.
mixed, of course.
That's-
If
yes.
I was isolating the pathogen from, again, the same plant, same leaves, then I was getting 4 groups.
Yeah,
For groups.
yeah, I understand that.
So it's almost like, it's more like physiological resistance rather than gene for gene.
Could be. Could
You
be.
said it's associated with waxing.
Yes, but based on scoring, just only I am looking the association, but not the extraction of wax. So I cannot see the degree, I didn't see the degree of wax at level.
You should see if those
It's on
genes
specific.
overlap. Yeah. You should map the wax independently.
Yes, in future I.
You have found some similar. Sorry, but Dr. Hayes actually has done some work on LR34, and I think you found some relationship with waxiness. Can you speak to that?
It's
What's the role of wax? Because the waxy types here are resistant, right? Mainly.
It includes,
What does
you get
wax
these
have to do
wax
with this?
boulders that include the stomates, and the way these fungi infect is through entry in through the stomate, so if it's occluded with these wax boulders, it just can't find the stomatal opening. But that trait only holds up till late maturation, and then it disappears.
So it
It's
gets
called
through
flourish.
so it gets through the stomates as opposed to some sort of physical injury that introduces it.
Right.
So
lot
now
of fungal
some of the pathogens, some
enter
of the
to the stomach.
saprophytic pathogens, they grow hyphae to enter the plant. And if you close those stomates and prevent the hyphae from growing and entering the plant, you basically suppress the pathogen. And he found a high association between waxiness and resistance. So that speaks to this theory that Dr. Hayes is working on.
I have a question about the virulence. I can't say that word.
Virulence.
Yeah, virulence of the isolates that you had. Is it a fact? Is it a matter of the plant is resistant to a specific isolate, or is it one is just more aggressive than the other? Is the black just more aggressive growing or reproducing?
It depends on the presence of number of genes in the plant. If the plants have 2 genes or 3 genes, then they can feed the growth and multiplication of the pathogen on that. But if there is no genes resistance in that plant, then it will be too late.
All 4 of the isolates, well, the white, the gray, the black,
I have tested in the control condition the white population and gray population. They are multiplying, but we cannot use to that those population for creating the artificial. There is no need to worry that you can develop some resistant genotypes because they are not aggressive, they are not virulent.
Okay.
So mainly we are focusing on the black isolate to see the pathway and mechanism, how they are synthesizing the toxic substance, and that toxic substance is going to kill the green tissue.
What is the nature of the artificial epiphytotic? What is that?
Actually, for this pathogen, for generation of pathogen and the host required high humidity, as well as around 25 degrees centigrade temperature. So artificial natural condition the population size is large. So just continue we are irrigating the plants. Then, as I explained that at 3 to 4 times inoculate aggressive isolates. Then after passing the time, you can score the disease as compared to the standard check. And if population size is less, then you can do same thing in the control conditions. that is the artificial
okay.
epidemic.
Oh, all right, I see, thank you.
Epiphytic means this is epidemic. To check the resistance level of that one. They are not, still plants are not immune, but they are resistant. Resistance means, of course, they have disease. Maybe 5%, 20%, up to the 30% as reported in some soil. So after that, you will keep in the highly susceptible or susceptible genotype.
I just have a question. Normally, the producers, how many varieties do they produce per field? Meaning if they have different varieties, in some time we'll have like a step-by-step loss of the resistance to that pathogen.
Yeah, yes, so for that I have calculated AUDPC. So we can identify the best genotype. But most of the many scientists just know they are following the 0 to 9 scale put by the scientist. So they will only give the score. So score means suppose in first time of inoculation, because of score load or maybe presence of genes, you cannot see the DSVRT. But you can read this is highly resistant, but this is not correct. So just wait up to the 77 or 83, and during that time, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you can take the DSVRT. So if they are really resistant, then you will see the DSVRT only 5% or 0% or 10% up to the 77. Otherwise, if presence of number of genes, if there is no much more genes, then it will be increased. Yes. So then that genotype you can categorize based on AUDPC, not based on scoring, 0 to 9 or 1 to 10.
I have a question. What was the main mechanism of spore dispersal?
Yes. Actually, this disease is known as spot blotch or leaf blight or foliar blight, but this has ability to cause the symptom on the grain as well as root rot of the barley. And
How do they move?
yeah,
from
move,
field to
for
field?
moving there is different sources
Is it
like
rain-
water, soil, equipments, even genotype, and even suppose I have collected a sample from the suppose this is in the soil, then they can survive long time. So after 10, 12 or 5 years, if you plant the barley or wheat, then again they will start their life cycle. They have beauty to survive a long time in the soil, in plant region.
Yeah, I mean, this pathogen, scab and tiny spot, they survive in the,
Yes.
especially under no-tip conditions, they can survive in the standing stubble until the next season, and they once it becomes humid and moist, they germinate and
Yes.
And move
Even
that way.
in the seed, they can survive long time.
Yeah.
If you put the seed, if seed will germinate as so in the slide. So they will germinate and they will multiply. Yes.
Is it specific to barley? Most specific?
No, there are many hosts for this one. So see, Biopolaris soricina in the wheat and barley too, both are the cereal crops, but their genetic makeup is different. So firstly, this disease is reported in the wheat, but after that, the same disease in the barley. Pathogen nature is same,
different species.
but if I have tested the pathogen of wheat, inoculate on the barley, and pathogen of barley inoculate on the wheat, but I could not get that disease variety. I mean, they are totally different, but Bipolaris nature and other nature, they are same. So there is need to study based on molecular or some other approach to confirm their behavior.
All right, if there are no further questions, let's thank him for his presentation.
Who's next week?